If you could tell God anything and you knew he was listening, what would you tell him?
Hurry up and get this over with.
Yeah, I have absolutely no idea.
That's a hard question.
I don't know.
It's so deep. It's too philosophical. I don't have time for it.
I don't know. I don't know. No idea. I don't know.
If you could tell God anything and you knew he was listening, what would you say?
It wasn't me.
What is he waiting on?
Hurry up and get here.
Thank you for everything.
Thank you for blessing me.
Thank you for giving me life.
If you could tell God something and you knew he was listening, what would you tell him?
I don't know. I don't really believe in him. I'm right, aren't I?
Why am I here?
What's going to happen to me?
Prove it to me.
Prove what?
That you are real.
I don't believe in God. There's too many questions. I have to sit down and have a beer with him or something.
That's a pretty hard question. I don't know. See, the world's pretty corrupt.
Bring some peace and love. Stop the violence, the shooting in the schools.
If you could tell God something and you knew he was listening, what would you tell him?
I need a lot of help. Could you please help me?
When is he coming back?
Why would you ask him that?
To know when things are gonna get better.
Why you had to take my brother? That's it, basically.
What happened to your brother?
He got shot and killed.
I would ask him why. Why is the world like this? Why hasn't he made any appearances like how he's done a long time ago?
That's pretty deep. I think I would pretty much ask for him to just allow people to get enlightened a little bit more, and not necessarily for God. Well, that's my whole problem. Maybe I don't even believe in a God. So, I don't know. That question's kind of loaded.
I don't believe in God.
Think there's anything in control of the whole mess here?
No.
If you could tell God something and you knew he was listening, what would it be?
Why me?
Give me my mother and father back.
Where's Satan?
To forgive me for all the things I've done that's wrong?
When's he coming back?
I don't know. I don't ask him anything.
To make the word a little easier, I can make it so hard.
How, specifically?
Just pressure in life.
Why is there evil in the world? Do you think it's okay to be honest with God and ask questions like that?
Sure. Why not? There's a God who ought to listen, right?
Help!
I would ask him, how come things on this planet aren't the way it seems like his plan was meant to be?
If you could tell God something and you knew he was listening, what would it be?
What's that? I don't know. I mean, I don't really believe in anything. But if I believed in God, I'd ask him, what's the purpose of me living here in Earth? And yeah, or maybe more. Actually, I don't even know. Yeah.
I'd ask if people that commit suicide, do they go to heaven? Because my dad killed himself and I don't know.
Yeah, I have a question. Would I go to heaven? That's my only question.
Tell him to straighten up. So,
How come?
well, he's not doing a very good job right now, is he?
Do you think it's okay to be honest with God and ask questions like that?
Only if he's listening,
Do you think he's listening?
or she. No,
You sure?
I don't think he has his hearing aid turned up.
Hurry up and get here.
Thank you for everything.
Why am I here?
Bring some peace and love.
Could you please help me?
Why you had to take my brother?
Why hasn't he made any appearances?
Say whatever you want to him.
Can you forgive me for all those bad things I did? Try and turn my life around, so I don't know. Take me back?
All right. Thanks a lot.
Hey, no problem, buddy.
Easy.
Take me back?
Right. I think this applies to this section of scripture that we're in now in Psalms 27, verses 7 through 10. So we've been talking about waiting on God in every circumstance in life. And one of the themes that you may have heard in that video is people feeling like they were abandoned. Where is God? Why hasn't he shown himself? Why hasn't he showed up in my life? Why hasn't he made my life easier? How do I know if he's listening? Maybe I don't even believe that there is a God. What's my purpose in life? All these questions give a sense of abandonment that somehow God has separated himself from humanity and he's not in the world. I would differ with that assumption that they are making, because I do believe that God is active. I do believe that he is working in the world. It's just that we have to see it. We want to start off looking at verse 14, because that is the crux of this whole passage, this whole chapter of Psalms 27 is verse 14. Wait for the Lord. Be strong and let your heart take courage. Yes, wait for the Lord. And we talked about previously what wait means, right? That you're not sitting around doing nothing, but you're actually active in waiting. You're waiting to see what God's doing. You're looking around. You're paying attention. You're also making calculations and measurements, trying to figure out how you can be involved in what God is doing. It's waiting like anticipation, like the predator stalking the prey. You know, you're anticipating that moment when you can actually get the go-ahead to move forward. And so David says in all these different circumstances that he presents in the first 13 verses, he says, wait for the Lord, be strong, let your heart take courage. Yes, wait for the Lord. So now back up to verse 7, which is where we'll begin reading today, and our passage of scripture that we're going to focus on. Hear, O Lord, when I cry with my voice, and be gracious to me and answer me. When you said, seek my face, my heart said to you, your face, O Lord, I shall seek. Do not hide your face from me. Do not turn your servant away in anger. You have been my help. Do not abandon me, nor forsake me, O God of my salvation. For my father and my mother have forsaken me, but the Lord will take me up. This week, we're going to talk about what to do when you have that feeling of abandonment. When so many bad things have happened in your life, you feel like God's not there, or when you've literally been abandoned by those who you would call friends, those who you would call loved ones, people who are supposed to support you, co-workers, family, friends, those types of relationships, and yet you feel that abandonment. And so that's kind of what David addresses in his statement. And he says, hear, O Lord, when I cry with my voice. In those times of abandonment, we are to wait on the Lord, but we're to do some specific things. And the first one is cry out, right? The Hebrew, when I cry with my voice, this literally means to shout. This is not a subtle, hey God, are you up there? I gotta have a favor to ask. You know, I mean, this is a yell. This is a desperation within David. He is crying out to God because he's at the end of his rope. He can't take any more. And that feeling, we know what that feels like because we've been there. You've been there. I've been there, where we have felt so desperate for God to intervene that we start, kind of setting up ultimatums. God, if you don't intervene, then I'm out. I can't take this anymore. I've had people that I've known who have committed suicide. I've had friends who have done that, and it's difficult because that they're at this point. They're at this point where they are just desperate for God to intervene, and maybe they prayed, maybe they cried out to God. The interesting thing is God responds immediately to David whenever he says this. Whenever he cries out to God, God responds. There's some comfort in that. When people are in those difficult situations, like a lot of the people that were interviewed, why is my life so hard? What happened to my brother? Does someone go to hell when they commit suicide? There are some really great questions, some very popular questions in our culture. And they all kind of surround this idea of, where are you, God? If you're not, if I can't see you, are you still there? Are you still willing to answer me when I cry out to you? Now, David cries out, and he has a relationship with the Lord. And so he cries out with his voice. Like he clarifies, I'm not just crying out internally. He is to the breaking point mentally in this moment. He is crying out verbally, begging for God to intervene. And God immediately does so.